Welcome to Nightline. I'm Mike London. A freak collapse has closed part of the snowy mountain highway between Cooma and Tumut. A section of the road virtually disappeared into an underground cave, part of the extensive Yerongapilli system. It left a hole wider than the two lanes and so deep its bottom hasn't been gauged. A passing motorist spotted the potential hazard when he noticed a depression in the road. It collapsed a few hours after police closed off the road. It's expected to remain closed for some time until engineers build a diversion. A Soviet nuclear submarine lies dead in the water off Bermuda after a fire aboard killed 3 Russian seamen. The sub is carrying nuclear weapons, but Moscow says there's no danger of an explosion. And in contrast to the Chernobyl disaster, the world was notified immediately.
It is a Yankee-class submarine like this, and it usually carries 16 nuclear missiles and a crew of 120. It was spotted this afternoon by an American search plane here, dead in the water about 1,200 miles off the east coast of the U.S. That is an area where Soviet submarines frequently patrol, their missiles aimed at U.S. bomber bases. Reports from the search plane said the fire, which broke out Friday morning, appears to be still smoldering. At least smoke is still rising from the sub. Soviet crewmen could be seen on deck, and a small boat was in the water.
There is no danger of any unauthorized action of weapons, a nuclear explosion, or a radioactive contamination of the environment.
The Soviets did say, however, that 3 crewmen died. U.S. officials have no way of confirming the death toll, but they did say there is no indication of nuclear contamination. As these pictures of earlier incidents show, fires are a common hazard aboard Soviet submarines, which have a poor safety record by U.S. standards. Perhaps the most remarkable feature about this fire is that the first public announcement came from the Soviets themselves, who almost never comment about military accidents.
I think it's sooner than they notified people after Chernobyl, and I suppose you could say that's an improvement.
There's been much criticism of President Reagan over his deal for the release of Nicholas Danilov from the Soviet Union. Today, the president fired back.
President Reagan ignored conservatives' complaints that he gave away too much in the negotiations over American reporter Nicholas Danilov. In his weekly radio address, the president pointed to those negotiations as an example of just the approach he intends to take in his talks with Soviet leader Gorbachev.
Because we understood that the Soviets are relentless adversaries, they could not surprise us, nor could their actions derail our long-term commitments or initiatives. We had to be direct, candid, and forceful. And we were.
The president said face-to-face conversations helped, but contended he'd be hampered if bound by 5 arms control measures passed by the House, such as one which would stop most U.S. nuclear tests if the Soviets also continue their moratorium and allow U.S. verification. Another would cut funds for Star Wars.
The Soviets must not think that delay could work to their advantage by gaining from the Congress what they cannot win at the negotiating table.
And to sport now, and after 15 attempts, Sydney driver Alan Grice is king of the mountain with a win in the James Hardie 1000 at Bathurst. Grice has come oh so close to winning before, but today was to be his day. The race also claimed its first life in its 24-year history. Mike Bergman died instantly when his Commodore crashed headfirst into a wall on Concord Strait. Americans Ken Flack and Paul Annacone have kept their country in the Davis Cup semi-final tie at Milton. They came back from 2 sets down to beat Australia's Pat Cash and John Fitzgerald in 5 sets. The tie now stands at 2-1 in Australia's favour, with the return singles rescheduled to tomorrow. Queensland's Ozzie Moore has made a one-act affair of the Queensland PGA at Yerongapilli. Moore finished the 10 shots ahead of his nearest rivals, Brett Ogle and Peter Senior. He picked up $18,000 for his victory. And in soccer, Coal Stars beat North Star 2-1 in the local soccer grand final at Perry Park.
It was North Star who came out firing at the sound of the whistle. And while Coal Stars were taking some time to get their act together, North Star midfielder Ross Wan gave the opposition plenty to think about when he opened the scoring in the 9th minute. That goal appeared to drive Coal Stars into action, and 16 minutes later, Bruce Penman scored the equaliser. Top strikers Mark Brasasco and David Wheeler were being closely marked, and it was the midfielders who were opening up the game. And in the 30th minute of the first half, Coal Stars' Andy Ogden gave his team the edge. In August, he destroyed North Star when he drove home the winning goal in the Ampol Cup, and today, North Star watched as he did it again to seal the match for Coal Stars. Alan Thomas, National 9 News.
Finally, a look at tomorrow's weather. For the Gold Coast, a fine and humid day with a 27-degree maximum. And for Brisbane, a dry and sunny one, also becoming humid with a light afternoon sea breeze. A temperature range of 18 to 28 degrees. And that's Nightline for this Sunday, the 5th of October. From Mike London, good night.
Monday night on Willesee, a surrogate mother who agreed to have a child for another couple for $10,000, but then went back on the deal.
I thought that she would look like them and be their baby, but she was mine. There was no way I could take $10,000 for my child.
And reporter Neil Kearney risks the family jewels in a bout with a boxing kangaroo.
Willesee, Monday, 6:30, following National 9 News at 6.
You colonials may remember we English held those embers. We reclaimed our ashes. Thank you very much.
Yeah? Well, this summer's gonna change all that. We'll show you how to use a bat. You could find yourself embarrassed. Just a touch.
Borders boys are young and full of speed. Blokes like Davis, Matthews, Marsh and Reed. They're hungry for the trophy.
A minor show this won't be.
You'll see them skinning lions, yes indeed. We've never had a sharper looking bunch.
I fear we could be headed for a crunch.
So bring the trophy with you.
There's a lesson we're gonna give you.
This summer's gonna really pack a punch.
Come on, Aussie, come on, come on. Come on, Aussie, come on, come on. Come on, Aussie, come on, come on. Come on, Aussie, come on.
Bringing you the best in summer sport. This is Channel 9. Wide world of sports telecast of the America's Cup, presented by Suncorp, official insurers of the America's Cup. And Swan Premium Lager, the official beer of the America's Cup defense.